on, tripod. It's fighting me. All right, that's good enough. Happy 4th of July. Hi, Jackie. Ooh, wow, that is shaky. Bypass that real quick, everyone, on the replay. Hope everyone's having a nice weekend so far. I have a couple projects ready, but I'm still working on the one we're gonna work on the red one with the ladybugs. But I want to. Hi Jody, happy 4th of July. We're working on ladybugs today for you, because I know you like ladybugs. So I thought red ladybugs, it seemed like a good thing. Oh, I don't have my microphone on. Oh my goodness, let me do that. Let's see if I can do that after a live stream's already started. Hold on. You guys will have to let me know, otherwise we'll have to start a new one. Yeah. It's more worried about going to the restroom, right? Okay, hold on. See if it's going to turn green. I have green. Is that better? Is that better? How's that, Jackie? Good? I've never turned it on in the middle of a video, so hopefully that works. I know you could hear me, Linda. I appreciate that, but it does get a little bit low, and some people can't hear on their computers, and other people have no problems at all. So I'm glad everything's better now. I normally put this is the microphone case, and I normally put it right in front of me, but I was too busy playing with fabric, and I forgot. Fabric's more fun. Yeah, so I had the ladybug mostly set up. We'll chat again once it gets a little past 1. But as I was cleaning my closet and going through and deciding, what's going to go in what storage bin and stuff like that, I really don't have much to get rid of at this point because I've purged so much. But I believe these were sent to me possibly from my Advent friend, but it could have been from anyone. So it had a bee, and it has the ladybug, and it has a dragonfly, and I used one already. It'll give you a kind of, not really, but kind of an idea. I had this butterfly that I popped on this pouch because the seam right here didn't get caught when doing the quilt as you go method. And I have another one in the shop, but I couldn't put this one in because of the seam. And I was going to stitch it by hand, which is not fun. I'd have to put some type of patch on anyways. So when I found these in the closet, I thought, well, that's perfect. Crafter Square is definitely a Dollar Tree item. I gotta say, they glued it on really good with the iron. I don't think that they would fall off, but you guys know, if you've been here with me for a while, you know my paranoia and my concern to make sure everything I sell is of good quality. I don't think you can see, but I'll kind of show you on the back at least. I stitched it down very lightly, not a bunch, just using white thread. You can see some right there along the bee, just to make sure it stays in place. Because if someone decides to wash their pouch, I want to make sure that it's not going to fall off. I did choose to have a white square, so if it falls off, it'll just be a white square in the center. It may look like something's missing, but the pouch itself will still be usable. I am doing what Giovanna and I always choose this anyway. You get the fun of having a patchwork pouch on the front, but you get to be a little lazy on the back. So is that really even a dragonfly? It is so adorable. I did choose to put this dragonfly on the back, and I'm going to have that same aqua on the bottom. It has a very pale aqua. Oh, it's got a little thread. Pink and the yellow. And I thought, you know what? I don't think I want to put any yellow in it. I want just the body to pop. So I have the pink scraps. The ladybug has the black flowers on the bottom and some red prints. I'm not sure if this one or this one will be used yet. I kind of wanted them all to feel about the same. And then I had the fun ladybug fabric, and I don't know, ladybugs and flowers go together. So black and red, I put the black flower on the bottom with the black flower on the bottom. Now, these two pouches are going to have the box corners, probably an inch, so it'll have a 2-inch bottom on it. And then this one with the bee, I just grabbed a bunch of flower fabrics. I'm not sure about that one yet. Just a bunch of floral, and I'm not sure about the pink, but once they're smaller, they kind of all blend in. And then I chose this fabric for the back, but I think I'm going to change my mind. I don't think this is cartoony, childish, colorful enough. I think this is very realistic. So I think I want to get something more silly. I don't know how many bee fabrics I have. Oh, I do have some. No, that's the same exact fabric. I'm not going to work on the backs today, so I can take some time to go through my stash to find the bee fabric. I know I have some fun ones. I know I have some with a beehive at least, and I might go with that. Let me show you what I have right here readily available. This is my novelty scraps that I haven't sorted into anything yet. I could probably put some sunflowers back there too. It doesn't have to have a bee on it. I bet you it's on the bottom because this got all mixed. Oh, wait, hold on. I was smart. I planned ahead. I pulled fabrics. So I had this for the dragonflies, but since I went with pink, I figured that was too much. But I have to see if I have more of this. That's more fun. And I also have the beehive with the hexagons like. So I think I'll probably switch this out because this one, I'm going to take it right off right now. It's not fun enough, and I think I'm going to go with this. Do I have enough right here? Of course I do, because it's like it was meant to be. So let's move this out of the way. And I think I'm just going to use this. Pretty sure I have another fat quarter of it, so if I'm like, oh no, I won't have any left, I think I'm still good. All right, so let me put these guys back out of the way. We only have so much space here to work in. Okay. So I think, whoops. I think this one is a little bit more fun to go with the bee. Jody says, I'm big stitching. I think I'm big stitching a quilt top, messed up and cut the backing even before I quilted it. Oh, are you using a walking foot? Sometimes that really just makes a big difference. Or to spray baste it or pin the heck out of it. I know when I first started free motion quilting, that was where I struggled to make sure everything didn't bunch. I didn't have a walking foot. So I was really, that's how I learned how to free motion because I didn't have a walking foot and I couldn't do straight line quilting. I do love big stitch quilting though. All right, so I'm going to set these guys aside. I think this one is my absolute favorite because it's just so cute and darling. And we're going to work on one project. We are going to do the quilt as you go where I put a whole bunch of stitching lines on it. So it could take a bit. And if we finish the ladybug, we'll move on to the dragonfly. And if we finish the dragonfly, we'll go ahead and move on to the bee. This one has like quarter yards and stuff. This fabric is so pretty. It has a whole bunch of large pieces. These I was able to go into the scrap bin. I don't have a flower scrap bin, even though I tell myself I should. I don't. So we'll put these aside. All right, they're on the bookshelf in case I forget them and lose them. Again, I am rocking 2 water bottles today. because I have stay hydrated with water and I have my cranberry ginger ale. I bought 5 12 packs of it when it was on sale for like $4 versus the 8 or 12 that it's normally. And I'm down to my last two. Once they're done, I'm going to be pretty much done with soda, except I allow myself the guilty pleasure of one soda per live stream. But that's what I'm doing. What are you guys drinking today? Ice really jiggles in that one. I also realized something when I was going through. I just want to make sure everyone shows up. Anyone who's going to, I really don't think we're going to have very many people today. They'll catch the replay. I was going through and putting the low volume fabrics in here when I realized I have one more quilt top that I didn't show in the video. Oops. I still have the Missouri Star quilt top that I haven't finished from their quilt along. I have the foundation paper piecing section left. It's big pieces, so it's not too bad or big enough. But that's the quilt that I'm working on. So I have these corner pieces here left with the little flowers. Oh, you can't see. I have that corner right there. So there's the full quilt. I'm not doing the borders because it makes a queen size quilt and I only have a full size bed, so it doesn't make sense. So eventually I'll have to get to that. I think with their website or their YouTube channel, they've now gotten to the point where they are actually, what are they doing? Oh, doing the tutorials and the sew alongs. We're not going to need this. All right. Foundation paper piecing is not my forte. I like it for simple blocks. Water, just water. Well, you got to stay hydrated, right? It's spray basted. Sometimes, Jody, if you're doing the big stitching, you can do it while sitting down, relaxing, and watching TV. Good day, bad day. If your brain's not working, I know I can still do hand embroidery and hand quilting and stuff, but it does take a certain amount of brain to sit down at the sewing machine, etc. So I think that might benefit you just by doing that way. I made this yesterday. These are foundation paper piece flying geese because I really love the look when it's finished. I think it's so cool looking. But foundation paper piecing, and these are, it's 1.5 inches wide. So it's the flying geese are 1 inch by 1/2 inch. And it was just crazy. It took me about hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes just to do the sewing portion. And I'm going to love the final outcome, but I'm going to also try it just sewing it normally because I feel like it might be faster just to sew it than to foundation paper piecing because this was just crazy. Hi, Audrey. Happy 4th. Happy 4th to all of us that are watching it, to those of you that are just lurking and working on a project or hanging out with friends or family. And happy 4th of July in the future to everyone that comes by this video later. I know I am not doing anything for the 4th of July, but when the fireworks go off, I will be hanging out in the backyard because we have several displays that are happening. I did notice in our local Surprise Arizona group that a lot of people have been asking the same question I had is there something going on? Are the price of fireworks just so preventative that people aren't buying them this year? Because normally here the fireworks go off from like Memorial Day all through, like they do it on the weekends and stuff, all the way through the 4th of July. And I've only heard them twice now. And it wasn't much at all. It was just like a boom one night and a boom the next night, and that's it. No big city ones, no personal ones. It's been really kind of quiet. Right, Jody? Why did they take forever? I've gotten pretty good at doing the patchwork ones and stuff like that. I've done enough that it works out pretty well for me, but I really want the finished product, and I'm afraid that the price for it and the effort for it aren't going to match that well, and it's just going to be frustrating, but we shall see. Oh, I don't even think I'm going to need my iron for this. Yeah, it's been strange, right, Audrey? I think I'm going to go ahead and bring out my extension table because I really like it for the quilt as you go, and I do not need to iron. Everything, see, the benefit of ironing your scraps before you thought there was fabric underneath there. The benefit of having your scraps ironed when you put them away into their proper storage bin is that you don't need to then iron them or iron them very much when you go to use them. I think that's a huge benefit. I think I have too much stuff and nowhere to put it. All right. I like the extra support and the extra space that I get from having the extension table, and my Juki has a really nice size one. For what I do on my little brother's sewing machine, the small table that comes with that one is still beneficial too. Hi, Patty. Oh, yeah, everyone's got a bit of heat going on now, huh? We're actually having a cooler weekend. I think we're what, maybe 103 to 106 this weekend. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's really been interesting to see the difference between the humidity and the dry heat. Because when you say, oh, it's only 106, but it's a dry heat, it's really right because it's just a dry heat. You can go into the shade and be cooler here, and there's almost always wind blowing and stuff. So it's kind of nice. I noticed that anything in the 80s is really comfortable. Okay, so my plan in preparation is I did cut the bottom, and I know everyone likes to hear my sizes. Oh, 60, yeah, that's kind of nice. That's cold, but kind of nice for you guys. I'm gonna put some lotion on my hands. I don't like that sound when I rub them together. I'll be right back. There we go. Okay, so what I did is I thought, what size of a pouch do I think I want to make? So I cut my batting. My batting is 9.5. Okay, my batting is 10.5 wide and 9.5 tall. I really don't make pouches to fit a certain thing. So I just kind of like make them whatever I want. But I was thinking if I'm going to take an inch off the bottom, I want to make sure I have a little bit of the black at least showing on the top. So I cut this one 3 inches by the width of the batting. And I cut the other ones 3.5 inches just to make sure that I have enough. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a red pen and I'm just going to mark. I'm going to sneak over here around you guys. I need a ruler. I'm going to go ahead and mark the 3 inches. Whoop, I still made it shake. My apologies. I actually tied, I used the cord minder where you wrap a piece of fabric with a snap around your cord for your irons and stuff. I actually wrapped it around my tripod and hooked it to one of my tables to hopefully get it to stay good, but I really stomped past it, so. It's Monday for you for the soccer? Yeah. 96 with 30%. Yep. So I'm just going to slide this down just a smidge and make a mark. And I want to have all of my red be above the mark because then I want to just be able to put right sides together and move it over. I don't want to draw on my fabric. And I'll make my red go a little bit past this line so I don't end up with one of those mistakes again, right? I don't need that happening again. I'll close the drawer like that. So now this I'll set aside for doing it afterwards to add it on. I did cut my square at 3.5 inches. I just put my iron-on piece down, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I need a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and how much around do I need?" And I think I might even, make it a little smaller. I want a little bit less white, but I don't wanna have it so small that I can't get a good seam allowance. I would rather put my red down and line it up and then trim the extra white off because that makes more sense to me. And I think for that, I need better scissors. It's nice to have a good sharp pair of scissors. I'm just going to use these because I'm not going to make the full pouch with you guys today. I'm just going to do the quilting and the stuff on the top. Now, normally I would quilt this first piece, but since it has the applique, you could quilt it and then put the applique piece on, but I don't think it needs to be quilted. I want to make sure I have enough room down below to put a piece of red, and I want to have enough room up above to put a zipper. Now I'm also going to trim this after it's done being quilted. I found this kind of watermelon type fabric. I thought that would be really fun underneath the ladybug. So what I'm going to do is just I'm going to do the 1/4 inch seam-ish. It's not going to matter too much. So I just want to see about where I want that to be, and I'll just flip it up. I'm going to trim the extra off. You guys have seen me do this a lot, so there's a lot of live streams specifically with this. I think I have some standalone videos also. It's just one of my favorite ways. Now, this piece of scrap measures 2 1/4 square, and anything over 1.5 inches is allowed to go back into my scrap bins. This is a smaller piece, so it will go into the smaller scraps, where something like this might be able to go into the large chunks. Because that's still too big for me to toss. But it would also work well in like a Minnie Mouse quilt, because I think that would be really cute. So let me kind of look at it. I tend to guess on where the 1/4 inch is because I want my needle in the center because it helps when I'm doing quilting and stuff like that, so that it's not remember to do the 1/4 inch and then move it, because I can use the inside of my foot. There's a little line on my foot that actually shows the 1/4 inch. But with a project like this, it doesn't matter. You can use a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, a scant. I'm reading Jody's. I have been doing fancy ones for my friend. Then I add hand stitching and maybe beads, a lot of messing around after auditioning a bunch of fabrics and making a mess. I am really looking forward for the second channel. I put the second channel down below in the description box for anyone that hasn't seen the post here in the community. And that channel is going to be a free for all. I called it Robin's Creative Chaos, so that we can do any types of crafting things there. And I'm really looking forward to just sitting down. And I think what I'll end up doing is pulling this table away from the wall. We're only going to be in this house until maybe Thanksgiving. We have to make a decision whether we're going to renew the lease or move in December. So I don't want to let the lease expire. So we'll probably be moving between now and November into a new rental here in Surprise until everyone's comfortable and Robbie and I can go to Florida. We had made plans to go in Florida at the beginning of the year. Well, we made plans in April this year and the beginning of the year next year, but I don't want to screw anyone over, and I want to make sure everyone's settled well. So the dream of going back to Florida, it's not even a dream, just the urge to go back to Florida is still there. But I want to make sure everyone's settled here before we go. So anyway, I'm going to pull the desk off a little bit and put the tripod on my grandfather's wooden chest back there. It's underneath the table, so that when we're doing the videos from, thanks Audrey for the other channel, I can point it like at what I'm working on, maybe at me a little bit. We'll see how it works. I also have the ability to do the tripod so it goes right over the top of the table. But I want to do art quilts where we add beads and stuff and embroidery to a quilt. So right sides together, I'm just stitching it and I'm doing the fabric from one edge to the other. And what I normally would do if the fabric was the right size is I would just fold it over and then do the quilting. I'm using 100% cotton batting because that is what I love. Yeah, I want to be able to do a little bit of stuff like that, do some beading, do some. I have the coaster kits I got for Christmas from you guys from the Advent for diamond painting and stuff. Just fold this over. Now, if I didn't get far enough down, I'll just make this pouch a little bit shorter. It's not like it needs to fit anything. But we'll be able to do that over there. And for those of you guys that hang out and chat a lot, you hear Giovanna talking about, doing fabric beads and stuff like that. So we'll be able to dabble in that. We'll be able to do a lot of different things because right from the beginning, the channel will already be non-craft specific, right? So it won't matter what we do because like this channel, I wanted it to be fabric specific. So we can't do other things without hurting the channel. But the next channel will be able to do that because it won't hurt the channel. Now I'm just doing it 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, less than, whatever. It doesn't matter too much. It's going to take a little bit for that channel to, work its way through, but I did get approved for live streams. I don't have set days or times or anything, but for some of those types of projects, we can do them later in the evening for those that wanted more nighttime stuff, or we can stick with daytime. To start with, I really don't think it's going to be specific days and times. You'll have to subscribe and like set your notifications. I'll try to come over here and post in the community section if I know that I'm going to go live. But if it's just a surprise, it's just a surprise. Oh, we have 50. Cool. I really appreciate that. Now, okay. When you're having a YouTube channel, you have it for fun or you have it to monetize and have fun. So it's starting out with fun. If we get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, then that channel can also be monetized. But for now, it's going to take a little bit to get to that point. And for now, it'll just be, a bunch of friends hanging out and, making stuff. At some point, it would be nice to have it monetized, but I'm not like super concerned right now. So this one is not perfectly straight. It's got a little diagonal. I'm going to go ahead and even it out. So this is not tall enough, but I know I'm not going to go all the way to the top with the white anyways. Yeah, I think it's really exciting. There's been a few people who've watched the videos. They're just the older videos. I needed to put a bunch of videos up. When you start something new or your channel's been kind of sleeping for a while and you want to bring it back, I could put that across the top. That would work too. You want to put 3 videos up all in one day, one right after the other. So if someone watches something and enjoys it, they can go back and watch it again. So I just put a few things up and I'll go through and periodically add more videos from this channel because I have like an embroidery series. I have some knitting things and different stuff like that. So I'd like to go ahead and bring those over since that channel is going to be a whatever channel. They'll still be on this channel, but they'll be on that channel too. So the next one I'm going to bring over is when we did a live stream and we made those, we were making notebooks and cardboard boxes from that kit. So I thought that one might be a fun one to bring over. And then I'm going to try to find some short ones And then I put playlists, so if anyone wants to just let the playlist run to help get it monetized, I mean, that would be great. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. It'll monetize in its own time, right? It still needs to have 1,000 subscribers anyway. I think once I'm able to start putting new stuff on and new videos and live streams and stuff, I think it'll do better then. Of course, I did pack up. I packed up the soap making kits, and I packed up a variety of things like that I had, because I'm like, I'm not going to make those, right? And then, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I have a couple of embroidery projects that I want to start, and it might be fun. I have, what do I have? I have this thing from Missouri Star for the flag. You do like a flower a day. That might be fun to just do as a short. Let me show you what I have here. I'm trying to stay away from the tripod. So this was that red, white, and blue with the different flowers, red, white, and blue flowers, like a flag from Missouri Star. I haven't started it yet because I've just been busy looking for a picture. Here we go. So this is what it's going to look like. So that might be fun to just do a shorts, one a day. I hope you guys don't mind. I mean, if you want a little bit of robin, you can get it here and you can get it there. If you don't like anything other than sewing, then, it's okay not to go over there. And then if Jody doesn't ever mind if I show you guys, she sent me this cross stitch. You're the boss of your own quilt. I think this one we can do in like a live stream or something like that. Not to sit down for hours and cross stitch, but just periodically to say, okay, let's sit down and do something. And then hopefully I don't reach in front of you too much. I showed these. These are going to be the first things I'm going to do. And I have these Bloomin' Pansies from the Fat Quarter Shop. I have links over in the community post for these patterns. So I have these. They were sent to me, and I really want to work on these because I want to put those into a zipper pouch, kind of like the ones that we're going to be doing with the box bottoms. So there's a lot of fun things that we can do there without being sewing related, but still, like, we can make a quilt top for an art quilt and add stuff to it. So it can almost be a crossover. We can make the quilt on this channel, maybe something even only 12.5 by 12.5. It can be small, and then do all the fancy stuff on the other channel. So I think it's going to be fun. The weather's been crazy. I mean, there's been up north in along the different states close to the Canadian border. They've been having cold weather and hot weather. They don't know what they're going to have, and that's kind of scary because they have to produce, fruits and veggies and animals and stuff for themselves and for the country and stuff. And they're having goofy weather. When I work on projects like this, I tend to do more like a log cabin style, going round and round. I think it would fit in more along the description of courthouse steps, but I really like to do that. Sometimes I'll do the diagonal ones and stuff, but this time I wanted to make sure that they were all straight lines-ish. Now I can go this way. I don't want to go over the top because I want to put the sides on first and then do it. This ends up being more of a built out left to right because I didn't go round and round. And that's because this piece fit up there perfectly. So then I have the next bits. And I try not to repeat fabrics, but I also don't care if I repeat fabrics. Like I really like this one. It's like a screen for your window, like a screen door, yeah. And it's in red, and I think it's really fun. It's got salvage on it. I don't save salvages off a jelly roll strip unless it has a pretty design on it. So these are really fun, and I wouldn't mind putting one on either side. And it doesn't have to be all red considering the ladybug is pink, but the ladybugs on the back are going to be red. So I might just go ahead and put this on. And if I wanted to, and I was worried about down here, I could also put a little skinny strip all the way across. I do like to go like this across the top and have one bit for the zipper so I'm not sewing over any seams and stuff. So maybe I'll save this for the top and I'll just build out the sides. I think that would be acceptable too. This is the Santa pouch fabric that I just put in the shop. So for wider pieces, I tend to leave them. This is a very, very simple patchwork. I mean, really, that's it. There's not much to it, right? Oh, they go back July 15th? Wow. Yeah. You guys don't want warm weather anyway, right? You're like, oh, no, it's too hot. We're not used to this. We don't want it. I saw back home in Florida, they've been having a ton of storms, lightning, water spouts, extra amounts of rain. So then I line it up, and I like to just go a smidge past. And I'll cut this off. Now that bit, it's nothing exciting. It's just kind of an orangey reddish almost, and it's a small bit. I could save it for the fabric postcards, but I'm going to put it in the trash. This is how I got myself in trouble on that one pouch because I'm going to guess that one of the fabrics was tucked in a little bit more. So when I stitched it, I didn't catch it. It was probably just barely underneath the fabric. And when I started ironing it and stuff, it got moved. I know Florida generally doesn't go back to school until sometime in the first week of August. I think this area here goes a little bit later than Jackie's grandkids do. I think it's more the first week of August. In some schools, they go year round and they just have a couple weeks off here or there. I think they get 4 weeks off in the summer. And by holding off and not doing the black base yet, when I put the black base on, I can also quilt it going left to right. And also change to black thread. So it makes it really helpful to plan that ahead. And I like to have that so when you're doing the crazy stitches, ooh, that's nice and bumped up. When you're doing the crazy fabric like this, it's nice to have that solid base on the bottom, like for a tote bag, so that when you box your corners and everything, once again, you don't have all those crazy seams and you don't end up with just like one little piece of fabric sticking out. Yeah, so this one is just barely, because I said I make the reds just a little bit longer each time I put it on, so I just need to make sure I catch it. Another little piece to go into the future scraps. Hi, Yvette. And by doing it this way, I don't have to cut the thread. I just fold it over while the needle's in the down position. And then I can do the top stitching in the first section. I didn't plan very well this weekend, and I've done it on another holiday too. Is I had like barbecue. I make a honey mustard versus a barbecue on chicken legs. So they're not grilled. I cook them in the oven. I reheat them in the air fryer or toaster oven. But it's something like chicken legs and chicken wings or something for the holiday. I made potato salad with sweet potatoes, and I ate that for the week. And now that we're in a barbecue holiday, I'm like, gee, I think I had nachos last night for dinner. I might have grits tonight for dinner. I'm not sure. We'll see. It's really hard, Jody. It's really hard. You have to put a ton in, or you have to decide, is this even worth it, or should I? What you could do, except for the fact that you're pinning and you spray baste it, you could just start the back over. And what I've done is I've taken and I've cut right down the center on the backing fabric, and I added a strip right there so that it would give you a wider bit. And you can also do it, I wouldn't do it straight down the center. I usually like off strip it. Well, you could if you want, of course, and then just add extra fabric to make the original backing that much larger. To put it around the outside, you might end up with a little bit, a small seam and a small strip, but by adding a 2.5 or 5 inch strip down the center, it gives you that extra fabric that you need. Audrey, overpinning it can be a problem. It just, you can't overpin it, but when you go to quilt it on the sewing machine, then having all of those pins everywhere is annoying. I use the width of my hand, which is, I think, nope, it's, oh yeah, you can have a knife that has to be less than 4 inches. The width of my hand, of my palm, is like 3.25. So they usually say like to pin 4 inches apart. So I usually just kind of pin like that. Jody, I've made so many mistakes. I have to make, ways to, correct my issues. They get 6 weeks. I remember they had something different going on, Jackie, because you guys start and end different times here. You can do it when you have to pin that much, you just have to pin that much. It's really no problem when you're hand quilting it, because it's easy to move the pin out of the way. But if you're like free motion quilting and you're getting in the groove, I learned how to pin in a way that I could free motion around the pins and not have to remove them. Once I learned my style and what I was doing, it became easy to do that. But if you're like saying doing straight line and there's pins in the way, or you just have 1,000 pins and you're trying to free motion, you're stopping the rhythm constantly to remove them. So if you're doing like 9 patches and you know exactly where you're going to quilt it, then it's good to put the pins like in the center of the squares if you're not going to quilt through them, so you don't have to stop and move them all and remove them all the time. Pain in the butt. See, it's coming out super cute. The reds don't match. They're not as close as I'd hoped, but I kind of liked the fabrics, so I'm using them. So this one will go here. This one, I think, what else did I have for options? That one's going to go across the top. I had the pluses. I think I was going to put that on, and I didn't, so oh well. I think I'll put this one over here. Put the extra down at the bottom so I can trim it when I get there. I've made so many mistakes. I just had to learn how to either, I don't want to start over. I do that so much in knitting because I didn't know how to fix my mistakes. So I would just tear it all out and start over again. But in quilting, you can kind of adapt a little bit better and just veer off of what the plan was, which is probably why I do better without following patterns because I veer and zigzag a lot. Reds are so hard. You have to kind of just say, forget it. It's not going to all match because the tones are just. When you have a bunch of different pinks, I think the pinks look great. Pinks, purples, whatever. But when it comes to reds, I feel like they all need to match. Hi, Janice. Oh, you're fine. Welcome, welcome. Happy 4th of July. Audrey, you're talented too. You just haven't reached that point yet, right? Because you've only been doing it for a small amount of time. I started seriously learning how to quilt in 2009. And if you're not able, time wise or money wise or whatever, to consistently make a bunch of things, it does get harder. I think I got lucky because when I started quilting, I was following the blogs versus like Instagram and stuff. So when they had all the quilt alongs, yes, YouTube was a thing, but they didn't do it that much. Or you just have a little video on the middle of the blog while you're reading the post. And I think that was just so much easier to constantly learn something and work on something. It's a little harder, in my opinion, to do quilt alongs now. I did the ones where, like this week or this month, you're at Robin's blog, and then you're at Audrey's blog, and then next month you're at Jody's, or there are 2 blocks each month. So I feel like it was just really beneficial. At least it worked for me. Don't ask me to do a mystery quilt, then you'll really see, how well I don't do. I'll leave the long threads, but these little frays always drive me crazy. All right, so I need one more over here. I got this bubbly stuff. Oh, look, the 2 Santa fabrics are going to be right next to each other. That's fun. I would like everything to be lined up nice and neat, but to be honest with you, I tend to lean in one direction or the other quite often. Which is why I learned to go ahead and be wonky. Audrey, once you realize how how your creative mind works and stuff, and what you can do easily and where you kind of struggle, you'll just start working to your strengths. I didn't have strengths, so I had to learn how to. I guess my strength was adjusting. I couldn't follow a pattern because I always questioned the one thing that they didn't answer, and it would make me get stuck. So I had to learn how to get myself out of a jam from not reading the directions, not cutting things properly, knowing that I'm very wonky, so that I need to just embrace the wonky. Wonky is now my style because, oh, stupid threads. That's just, everything ends up wonky anyways. Babies do not care, not at all. They're just gonna make a mess of it, and chances are, if you don't make one of those heirloom looking quilts, the babies tend to love the ugly quilts anyways, and the ones that moms get that are really precious looking, and it looks like someone spent a lot of time and money on it. Babies tend not to go for those. They tend to go for the things that mom doesn't like. They just seem to know. Yeah. It's some things I learned, if I'm making 4 9 patches, not to make 4 9 patches, because now I've made the same error all the way through. So I make 1 9 patch, figure out what I did right and what I did wrong, move on to the next one. Oh no, I made a new mistake. So when I get to number 3, by the time I hit number 4 or number 40, I'll have it figured out and I'll have my mistakes fixed. Good evening, Gwen. Welcome, welcome. You're all good. We're just chatting. I can hear, where's my cats? Oh, Miss Mocha's underneath the table snoring. I'm like, I hear snoring. Well, you know that now, right, Jody? You know that your ADD just drives you crazy, and you know it is what it is, and you have to work your way through it. And you just have to, instead of getting frustrated with yourself, you're like, I know this is how my brain works. I'm just gonna have to keep going through this process, and you may not be able to adjust and change the way I do, but I also can't work the way you do. And my new channel may say chaos, but that chaos is the fact that we're going to do all kinds of crafts, not the fact that I can work in chaos. I used to, but as I got into like my 30s, around 35 to 40 area, I decided that I can no longer wash dishes until I clean the sink. And then I organize the dishes as I put them in the sink when they're dirty. So when I go to wash them later that night or something, everyone's organized. All the silverware are together, all the bowls are together, instead of just having a mosh in the middle in the sinks, like all, full of stuff. And with my crafting, I need to have things semi organized, not precise, but I have like my scraps in the scrap bins because I know how I work and that this works well for me. So I go ahead and do that. So we all learn what we can handle and what we can't. It takes time. We can't know these things when we first start. Like I loved cross stitch. I did it a lot, but I found that I love those little ornament kits that you used to be able to get from Walmart, where you put the little lace around it and the cardboard on the back of it. But I find that I don't love a large cross stitch project. Like I have the scarecrow. I did his pants, and that's as far as I got, because until recently, in this time of my life and of the YouTube channel, I didn't have time other than at night to sit down and work on it. And nighttime for me is not the best time to do cross stitch. I've been crocheting dishcloths at night because I can't even stay awake. Once I sit down and stop moving, I fall asleep all the time. I'm rewatching Charm, so it's a good thing because I know what's going on, because I fall asleep every night as soon as I sit down. So I would like to have time, and like right now, Mondays, I just do all the editing. So if I get a couple more things ahead, I can sit down and work on cross stitch and just have a day where I only work on it and get those things done. Like the kit to that, I just showed you from Jody. I would love to get that done. It is so cute. And I think it would look great on the wall. But to be honest with you, it's probably going to be like my quilt tops, where it's going to need to get turned into, it's going to need to be framed. I might just quick frame it and not do anything fancy, but I'll probably have it finished and it'll sit in a Ziploc bag until I move on to the next point. But that's just how I do it. Yeah, well, and if that's how it is, Jody, like I can kind of understand it, because when I'm writing and I'm writing with pencil, if I write one letter in a word wrong, I have to erase the whole word and start over. And I've been like that since I was a child. It drove my grandmother crazy. So when you get to a certain point, and same thing I said with my knitting, not only do I not know how to fix it, but knowing the mistake is in there, I can't handle it. I find the quilting mistakes really don't matter, because you can quilt and be kind of wonky, but when you're knitting a sweater, you really kind of want it to fit right, So I always just start over again. Now that my kids have moved out and now that we're living together again, I'm trying to impart that knowledge to them, because they're a little more receptive now than they were when they were children, right? Like out of high school and stuff. They know I'm listening to mom at that point. They know everything when they're 18 to like 30. So I'm trying to instill that knowledge in them now that you're older, you can look back and see where certain things make sense. You don't have to do it mom's way, but listen to what mom's telling you so that you can do it your way and be comfortable with it, right? It's not my way all the time. It's just, Here's a different way to look at it so you can figure out your way. Oh no, you can't hide that. Nope. Unless you're matching, the thread to it, you can't hide much. I just leave my water there. Oh, I love I have the little packets that I make it I take actually I have 4 2-quart pitchers in my refrigerator and I fill them up with water. And for me, I put 2 packets of I use a wild berry electrolyte drink, and 2 packets is enough. I just want a little bit of flavor in my water. I don't want to be overpowered by it. And by having those pitchers in there, every time I refill my water bottle, then it's really ice cold and I put ice in it. Because I go through at least 2 of the pitchers a day. Sometimes I get into the third. In the summertime, I'll probably go through a lot more. So I really do like that cold, the feeling of the cold water in the back of your throat as it's going down. Kind of like in the winter when we like something warm. So for those of you that didn't hear when we first started, I am going to be making zipper pouches out of these, but I'm not going to be making zipper pouches with you guys. I want to, just hang out and enjoy the process of putting the stitches through. Now, I didn't do any, I didn't quilt through the top bit there. I'm just going to leave that because I'm going to be putting the zipper in. And it's not going to matter very much, but I will go ahead and trim this off just so that, all right, it's one of those things where I get to see it and you can't, just so that I know where the batting ends. I don't like to have that extra, so I want to make sure the batting is gone there. Now look, it's less than an hour and we did chat a lot. So there's the top, and then I thought it would be fun with that on the bottom. And again, it's not going to be wide enough, but I'll just make the pouch a little bit shorter. Or, where is that fabric? I'm over here on my shelves. Yes, I do have more of the fabric. That was just scraps in the scrap bin. So I do have more of the fabric if I feel like it needed to be a little bit more. Let me see. Because if I put it here and I put it there, that's going to be significantly shorter, and that's not going to make me happy. So I am going to cut 2 new pieces because I want the front and the back to match. And because I am scatterbrained, not only did I remove that front piece, but I'm going to come over here to the back and I'm going to remove that back piece too, just to keep me from accidentally using it. Now for the back, I will probably just do some basic crosshatch quilting. I am using the 100% cotton batting, so I will probably quilt it a little bit more than I would if I was using the fusible fleece. I think, yep, those are good. I'm just checking. Anything that's 1.5 inches gets to go back in the scrap bin, and anything smaller goes into my fabric postcard scraps. I'm just going to put a whole bunch of red on the fusible interfacing, and then a whole bunch of blue on a piece and a whole bunch of green just for other types of projects. Okay, so this table has to come off. Water bottle's gone again. So what I'm going to look at here is to make the decision on how much I lost the fabric. Oh, look, there's more red. To make the decision on how much I need, this is going in the red bin. This piece is longer. It's like 6 or 7 inches long, so that goes into the big bin. I'm going to take this and I'm going to measure from the shortest red part here. And I'm going to put the 1/4 inch. I'm actually going to put a 1/2 inch up here just to make sure I have plenty for my seam allowance. And it shows that I need a 3.5 inch piece. So see, the first piece was 3 inches, and when I did the other ones, I cut them at 3.5. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and cut it. I'll just probably cut it at 4 inches just to give myself that extra. I have to give this a little bit of an iron. I'm going around behind the camera, waking up my iron. And then I'll need a 12-inch ruler, or 12.5 inch, and then just measure it out. So this is 10. Okay, it's not 10 3/8 and it's not 10 1/4. So I'm going to cut it 10.5 inches long just to make sure. I've learned that instead of trying to be exact, it's better to cut it just a smidge longer, and then I can just trim it off, because it's not like I'm cutting it 12 or 14 inches and wasting fabric. I'm going to cut it 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch wider, just to make sure that I cover my own butt and I cover my batting and stuff like that, and I don't want to have to worry about it. And I'll need, oops, oh, silly Robin, I am ironing on the table that you're strapped to. Yeah, professional, right? As she wonders why she doesn't have 100,000 subscribers. Professional. Now, if you're struggling with the whole math bit, you can just lay your piece down, right? And then just cut. So if it's a weird number, I do have salvages here, but it doesn't really, they're not real. They're real salvages, but they're the ones that have the fabric on them. So I am just going to cut 2 pieces that are, just cut them right to the edge of the salvage, because I won't be saving these. It's fine. And then, what did we say? Like 10.5? Okay. Because I work with so many scraps, I know if I cut a little bit too much, then it'll be fine. I'll find a use for it. Now, I do have this now, right? So I have that big chunk taken off. What I'll do is I'll cut this off also, and I'll put this in with my novelty scraps, so that I know when I have fabric on the shelf that it's not weird pieces. Everything is nice and neat, and it stays in there, and there's not flopping around or anything like that. And now this piece is a little bit from the fold. It needs to be ironed. So I'll just leave that to the side and I'll iron that later. And I'll put that away later. I have these pieces. It's kind of hard to see where the selvage is on black like this. So I'll just go from the inside so I can see it better. Okay. Now, one of these will be for the back that we're going to ignore for now. And one of these will be on the front. Just like that. I cleaned my sewing machine yesterday. Do you guys remember the last time you cleaned your sewing machine? Or changed your needle? I changed my needle either before or towards the end of sewing all of the Santa and elf pouches. It still feels pretty good. I probably should change it, but I think I'm okay. So there's the red, and I won't need that until I go to sew everything together. I'm using the Bro thread. I just like it for the wrong one. I like it for the quilting on these. It just makes it look pretty nice. All right, let's see if we can do this without running out of thread on the bobbin. Hi, Jill. Ooh, I stubbed my foot and yelled at you. My apologies. Oh, moving is very stressful. Happy 4th to you also. Glad you can hang out with us for a little bit, even if you're just popping in for a minute. Put us on later on. Listen to me ramble in the background, or sit down and sew with me for a bit. Or even, I have no problem, I do knitting and stuff while watching sewing. I've been sewing while watching beadwork. I love watching the indigenous people make the different beaded pieces they wear and stuff. I've always been fascinated by it. All right. I am one of those people that I really think changing the thread out is a really good idea. When I lay this down, I'm going to make sure that I can see the watermelon seeds fabric past my seam allowance. And that's usually how I do it to make sure I don't miss anything. Plus, that fabric has it so like the threads have been pulled a bit from fraying. So I'll just do that. I'm using a 2.2 stitch length, by the way. You can use much longer, but I kind of like it. My machine seems to like it also. I can go to a 2.4, but anything longer than that, it's really not happy to quilt like this through batting. So I don't know how it is, on other things. Just make sure it's down nice. Now, if you do this and you decide you don't like it, you can still, remove it and stuff or put another fabric, right? But I think the flowers with the ladybugs work. And it's dark, but it's more of a faded, like if you had black jeans and they got faded a little bit, that's kind of what it looks like. Let me get some of these threads. Whoops, scared myself. You can do this with plain batting. You can do it with fusible fleece. You can make wider quilting, lines when you're doing it. I don't know. I call it quilt as you go. I don't know if it falls into the official quilt as you go, since that's usually more towards quilts. But since I live in my world, that's what it is. I probably could have gotten away with just using a gray instead. This black is adding a bit of contrast, but I'm going to say I meant to do it. When I think of this fabric, I always think of it being more black, but now that I'm looking at it, it's definitely more gray. Hi, Mary. Happy 4th. I don't even have a watermelon for this weekend. See, not having any responsibility except to myself, no children, no husband and stuff, I'm really like, I'm not doing things the proper way. Why I don't sew clothes? Because I started out with making quilts, and it's not a clothing channel. I can make clothes, but I can't make them enough and well enough to teach someone else. My channel is for using up scrap fabrics, learning some bag making and techniques that work in the quilting world without having to make an entire quilt. I do want to make a quilted jacket at some point. I have made them before. And I have sewn a lot of clothes, especially for children. I actually have a lot of patterns and stuff for them. I have a whole bunch of children. When I was sewing back in little before 2009, a little after, I had joined some groups where that's what they made. They made a bunch of not only bags, but kids' clothing and stuff. So I made pants and pajamas. I've made dresses. I have the ability to make jeans. I just don't have the interest in making jeans. Things have gotten to the point now where it used to be cheaper. I would make like shorts for Robbie when he was younger so he could have all the different fun fabrics that he liked. But now it's to the point where it's just cheaper to purchase things than to make them unless you need them in a certain size or anything like that. Just like a lot of the sewing channels where they make clothes, they don't make quilts. So what do you think, Jody? Did I do good? It can be a little scary, right? Yeah, it can be very scary. So I really think this turned out really cute. So it's only 2 o'clock. I think we can easily do the next one. So the next one would be the pink dragonfly because that one is semi easy because I do have the pink chunks here. And we're going to do it the same way. I think so too. I could have gotten rid of a little bit more of the white on the side because I forgot what I was doing and I just lined it up. But I think having it rectangle like that actually worked out really well for the ladybug because the ladybug is more rectangular. I did put like the dragonfly is kind of on a bit of an angle because of the way it curves and everything. So I did that. I want to show you guys something. When I start making scrappy quilts kits for the zipper pouches, this is what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to lay out the fabric and take a picture of it and then send enough fabric with the kit to make sure you can do it like this and also to have extra in case you want to do it a little different. But this is how I kind of decide what fabrics I need. I just sort of lay them out and see if I like the way they look. And then when I go to make it, I can easily change my mind and mix it up. I'm going to do one video that shows the basic technique, but it's going to be like maybe I'll make a pink zipper pouch like this, but you guys might purchase a green one or a yellow one or a mixed color. I won't make a separate video for every pouch, just for the technique that goes with it. So I hope that makes sense and that doesn't confuse everyone when they start doing it. I had my head wrapped around that. I thought I have to do everything before I can do anything. But I decided that that was crazy and that I can go ahead and start making the kits and then make the video eventually. Like, don't put them in the shop yet, just have them made up. So that way, when I do make the video, everything can be done right at the same time. Oh, that's awesome. I just wrote it down. I've been bringing out this my daily planner that doesn't have any dates in it, so it's perpetual, so you can use it well until you run out of paper, of course. But I found it took me until June or July to figure this out, so I started making like a July to-do list and then I've started on my August to do list, and the wrist cuff is in there. I want to make some for the shop, and I want to make some for kits, but I'm going to have to do it with Velcro. I might do it with the snap option for those of you that already have the snaps. But, well, I could just do it with the Velcro and you guys put snaps in instead, so that would be fine too. But I want to make more of the wrist cuffs for the shop too. ADD is challenging for you guys. I can imagine. I've seen some videos and, different things where people struggle with that. Now, having said that I lay these fabrics out, it really doesn't mean that that's what I'm going to do. I lost my little girl. So, again, let's take a light blue and I'll put this down. Oh, a pink, that's what I need. I need a pink. Take my pink pen, move this down a little bit so that I can draw a line, and then to make sure that This one's crooked, so let me move it down a little more. I want to make sure I go past this line if at all possible because I don't want to go and grab this because this one is a big yardage. There's like 3 to 5 yards of it and it's in the other room. So I don't want to make that mistake. Make sure nothing's on the back when you move things around because yeah. Now you could pin this or spray base this in place. I think I'll just guesstimate it. You can also have all of your patchwork over here and just have a whole section with this or move it over there. We're going to be doing some of that and I'll be putting some finished pouches in the shop that go with that theme. Like when I made the Tula Pink coasters, I think you guys saw that video maybe this Monday or oh no, you saw them with the sea glass and the blueberry on how there was a main piece of fabric and then patchwork. I want to do the same thing for pouches and tote bags and stuff. Okay, pink thread, that's what I was going to do. Yeah, I don't mind changing out my thread. I just try to group everything. If I'm making 25 zipper pouches and I need 5 different threads, I will separate them out and group them by thread color and then just sew them. Like I might be working, hi Tony, I might be working on all the pouches at the same time so that I sew every bit that's red and then every bit that's pink. And then that way I'm not constantly changing the thread for each zipper pouch. I just do it in color groups. And I find that that helps a lot. I do want to make some tutorials this year about bulk sewing and stuff like that. It's kind of hard to thread the sewing machine standing up. Just to say, you know. Couldn't find my needle up and down. Here we are. All right. Put the table back on. Yeah, so like this large piece here and stuff, I'm not going to use that. I did bring some smaller ones in to frame around the patch this time. Yeah, why would you move it, right? Because at one moment you thought, I'll just organize this into a better spot and put it in a safer place. And then you're like, oops. I wonder if I want this one to sit all the way down right on. No, I think I want pink underneath it. Let's look. Because this is the pink that I had planned to put underneath it. And I think I like that. The only thing is this isn't long enough to go all the way across. And I would like it to. I don't know. That's not going to be able to happen because, I mean, I'd have to do partial seams, and I'm not interested in partial seams. So it'll have to just be, I could put the sides first, and then that would make it more. That's what I can do. So the aqua, I love it because it has this movement like the pool, because it's like a deep, dark aqua pool with the lining there. So this goes back up. All right, since I want to put that piece there, I think I'll put a skinny piece across the top. And then I can have something wider. I might have to go back into the bin to get a long piece if that's what I end up doing. We'll see. So I will. I think I'm just going to put this one close to the top. Projects like these I find are great for audiobooks. You can just pop something on because I find that I don't watch whatever I'm watching, I only listen to it. So either something I don't have to look at or an audiobook. I'm trying to find a place, like I have most things organized, Jody, so I'm trying to keep things where they belong. But I randomly found the cross stitch for the scarecrow in a weird place. Oh, it was in with all of my, when I was looking through for my quilt tops, and I thought it was weird because I saw the Ziploc bag or the container with all of the pattern and the thread for the scarecrow. So why is the actual cross stitch project in one closet when everything else is in a whole other room and a whole other container? And I don't think I stopped and restarted that one. I have some fun Halloween ones with the printed, so it's the printed cross stitch. I would really like to start those too. The problem is my eyeballs aren't that great. So I have to wear the magnifying headgear stuff. Right? It just makes sense. You move it because you think this is where I should put it, or I'm going to lose it if I leave it here, and we move it, and then we can't find it. I lost something at the last house until I sold the house and moved, and then I found all kinds of things, and I'm like, oh my, look at that. All right, I think I want to put the stripes. Do I want to be quirky and have two different stripes like that? I could put a stripe all the way across the top. I could put the same stripe on both sides. I think that's what I'll do. Oh, really? Now, I listen to the Cozy Mysteries. It's like Hallmark movies in a book. They're all basically the same, so it really doesn't matter how much I pay attention or not because, yeah, it's all about the same. So it doesn't really matter if I miss something. A lot of times I'll have, like we're in Christmas in July, so all of the Hallmark Christmas movies are on, and I think that's kind of fun. This would have been fun all the way around too. Yes, I started a new channel. It's down in the description box. It's I have to look at it. Robin's Creative Chaos. And it's so that we can work on all of the crafts. Like this channel is only for sewing. When I get away from sewing and fabric scraps, YouTube gets confused and it stops pushing me out to people. And then my channel takes a nosedive, which happened when I moved. So I'm trying to bring everything back. And I put that on there because I want to do other things with you guys. And a lot of you guys want to do things. Like I keep getting asked about my crochet dishcloth. And I kind of made up a pattern myself. But I did find a pattern that I think will work for you guys. So I'll do that over there. And then if you guys want to make paper beads or fabric beads, I want to make the thing where you take one of the like the Aurifil threads that don't have this round base, or the wooden spools of thread, empty spools that you can buy at like the craft stores and stuff. And I want to put fabric and batting on it and wrap it with wire and beads and make it so it's a dangle so you can hang it somewhere. Jody knows what I'm talking about, I think. I think Jody sent me one. I have it because it was hanging at my Florida house, and then I packed it away with oh, that's probably why I don't have much going on here, because I packed away my crafty goddess, my little muse lady and stuff. So, I want to be able to do things like that. So, you wrap this around with some batting, and then you can also make some beads. And we can't do that on this channel because this channel is fabric. So I started a second channel to where we can just do that. Now, it's not going to be busy. You're not going to see a video every week. I'm bringing some of my older videos that are non-sewing related from this channel and just adding them over there. So they'll be in both places. Like my most popular video this month, because it's summertime, is how I call it Podzilla, how the moving pods get delivered to your house. That's the one that's bringing in my most money. It's my most viewed video right now for this month. So I need to, hunker down here and have it just be sewing, and then we'll have the other stuff over there. Yeah, I thought you were the one, Jody. So we're gonna do stuff like that. So we can just sit down and chatter and do anything. We can make paper, we can make soap, we could cook, but we won't. So we'll do all of that stuff, and that'll be a channel with the name Chaos, meaning we'll make a mess and we'll work on every kind of project. I want to get back into bookmaking in the smallest sense. Like, I don't want to recover, heirloom books and have a job out of it. I want to make the fun little cute things. I ran across someone, well, I thought this was really kind of good timing. I ran across someone on Instagram that takes the old Disney VHS plastic cases, where you put the movie in, and they take it apart and they make a journal out of it. And that's right up my alley because I have an entire bin just full of those VHSs. Most of them are worth nothing. So why not go ahead and sit down and hang out with friends and make something out of it? Plus, I can also go to the thrift store or to a craft store and find random kits, and we can work on kits. We can make leather moccasins because that's what I always see at the store. We can do the cross stitch and the embroidery. We can do all kinds of fun things. Origami. I want to make those little paper stars out of the strips. I don't want to do the Guinness Book of World Records, but some lady I keep watching on Instagram is doing it. So if you do it without ever cutting the paper, and then you can make those little poofy stars out of the strips, I thought that would be fun to do hanging out with everyone. I think there's going to be a lot of live streams over there versus actual videos. I need a drink. So I think there's going to be an abundance of live streams so that we hang out, but there'll also be like companion videos to go with it. Like I might show you how to do this in a video, and then later that month we'll do it together on a live stream so everyone can ask questions. We've done it kind of here before with zippers. Sometimes, Jody, when you take a nap, you wake up and your mind has changed and you can kind of figure it out. You've been moving your craft space around so much between the two areas plus what you keep, I don't know, like a living room or dining room, whatever you said. You have so many things in so many places, it's really easy for it to get moved. Yeah, so we can make the beaded keychains and stuff like that. We can do all of that. That's why the second channel I think is going to be the fun channel. This channel is meant to, make a little bit of money. And the other channel is meant to have a little bit of fun. You guys are always like, hey, Robin, can we do this? Hey, Robin, can we do that? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, we can't. We have to be fabric here. So now I was going round and round on how to make sure this channel stayed secure and different ways to do it. And everyone said this and everyone said that. And when it came down to it, you just press a little button that says start a new channel. Because of what I have this channel set up as and the way I have it like monetized and stuff, I can't totally have a separate channel. Because once you get to Google, because you have to have Google stuff to do it, Google just smushes you all together anyways. So I just had to make sure everything was safe and secure. So it was all that worrying over nothing. So one day I just sat down and I watched all the videos and read everything I could find online. And then I just pressed a button and it was super easy. I thought I was going to have to make a new email and all of that. In that channel, if I want people to contact me, will need an email. But for right now, I'm not gonna worry about it. Mostly it's just gonna be you guys anyways. You guys know how to, whoops. You guys know how to get a hold of me. I pressed the thread cutter that doesn't really work anymore. Now I have to do everything again. Gosh darned it. The problem with when the thread cutter gets stuck like that, I asked them to fix it when I had it in the shop, and they didn't do anything. Is the a piece of thread always ends up falling in there, cutting off. There we go. I got it without having to take the whole thing off this time. I usually have to unscrew everything and take it out. So, Jody, sometimes we have to just hire someone to help and get it done now and save ourselves our sanity and our health and our energy, and just get someone in. I've always said that I can be organized. I just need someone to do it for me first. It took me a while, and it took me watching, like when I learn new techniques and I want to show you guys tips and tricks, I have to learn 'em. I have to watch every video I can find. And I just happened to randomly come across someone on Instagram that showed the plastic bins that I have. And I was like, that is exactly what I need. That is perfect. And thankfully, it has worked out perfectly for me. I like the clear containers. It makes such a difference. And not having lids. Yeah, I think you need someone, you may need to spend the money and get like an actual organizer. Or if you have someone locally that just likes to organize and not hire like a big time professional. Yeah, you need to be able to tell someone what you do. And they like, okay, if someone hired me to organize their sewing space, I would organize it for a way that works for me. You need someone that you could say, this is what I do, this is where I do it, and this is what my tools and supplies are. And they just have the experience to know what you're going to need. I almost sewed this all the way across. Yeah, your mom was good at organizing. I've never really come from an organized house. I've never come from like total chaos, but we've never been like a super organized. I didn't have crafty people in my family. My grandmother's sister, so what, my great aunt, is that how that works? She did the knitting and crochet, mostly crochet. I need to put a couple more stitches on here. I stopped too soon. But, other than that, my grandmother knew how to knit and crochet. She taught me when I was really young. I remember I was like 8 years old, and we would make gifts for baby showers, but that's all we made. And I have her sewing machine, one of those singers that go down into the table like. It really, I just keep it for sentimental reasons. I really think I should donate it or sell it, give it away or whatever. I don't think it needs more work, and that's not what I'm interested in doing. So we did do some slight sewing and stuff, but nothing major. So no one's really shown me how to be organized. I mean, I know my father was organized with his tools, but that's basically you get a tool chest and you put things in the proper places and then you don't move them. So having like organized kitchens and stuff, that never existed in my life. Oh, selling things online is a lot of work. A lot of work. It's like either put it all into flat rate boxes and sell it, or it has to be like something special. There are people on eBay that do the whole estates, or they go through the dumpsters and get stuff that places throw away. I mean, that's just a lot of work. Taking the pictures, doing the listings, even Facebook Marketplace. Do they show up? Are they going to haggle you and all of that stuff? I find it's a horrible way to go, and it's not the best option, but I find it's better just to throw stuff away than it can be to try to do all that. My daughter was like, I'm trying to get organized and take things up to Goodwill and stuff. I said, well, let me tell you a little story that's been happening at Goodwill lately. because their prices are stupid high, they have so much stuff that when people donate things, they just throw it away. It doesn't even make it into Goodwill. It just goes right into their dumpster. So at that point, you may as well just put a box outside your dumpster in the apartment complex and let people have stuff for free because it's just going to get thrown away anyways. All right. Yeah, now I made everything too tall for what I have. This pouch may need to be a little narrower because, or I need to find a skinny strip. I already have this pink here, so I don't want to do that. Let me get my pinks out. Ouch. Oh, I have them out. Where are they? Let's see what I have in the pink bin. So I want to add some skinny bits on either side of these stripes, and then I can add the wider bits. I don't know if I've actually gone through the pinks because there's a purple in there. Well, that's kind of fun too, but I don't think, is that even wide enough? Yeah, that's not quite enough wide enough either. Hi, S'mores, you're not going anywhere. I have polka dots. It's kind of been fun on this one. I don't normally do it to add the same fabrics to both sides. I don't think I want to do that with that. You have this. See, it's like, do you want to have this one's dark. I wanted the dark on the bottom, but, you know, do I want darks towards the top? S'moresies, lay down. Take a nap. So I am cat sitting my daughter's cats. So they're back in the house and we're back up to 5 cats again. And I got to tell you, it's been utter chaos around here. They came Thursday morning. So Thursday they were scared. They started to calm down a little on Friday. Now Saturday morning, they're being annoying already. My girls are locked in the room right now because I'm live streaming, but yeah, I don't allow my daughter's cats in here so that my girls have sanctuary, and I had to really fight to get one out before the live stream. It was so annoying. Yeah, pink and purple. I love to work with pink and purple a lot. Now this piece is a little bit too small to even put in with the fabric postcard scraps. Maybe if it was a little bit longer, I would. I do love the polka dots though. Now the other channel, even though it's fabric related, we can go online and sort through scraps and stuff. I received a package of scraps at the end of June. And I did record a video going through it because normally I don't go through the scraps or the fabrics that I received, but I thought I'd go ahead and do this one. 555, 555. Yeah, you missed that day at school, huh? Yeah, Goodwill is just crazy. The craft resale stores, we have them. I think there might be one like in Phoenix or something. There's one not far from here, but it's far enough from here. Like I don't want to drive an hour. I really need to, you know, I'm having fun sewing and everything is organized enough. It's sorted enough that I can do it, but I would like to finish sorting big from small in all of my rainbow bins. And I also have the loose pieces of fabric that are smaller than a fat quarter or smaller that I want to get out of my stash. Mostly they're like Christmas stuff, so I don't have to worry about it yet. Yeah, there are a lot of fun ones. Also, if you're on Facebook, check out the different groups there because some people have a lot of great organizing tips. So I think I'm going to stop this one here so that I can put another piece after it. I mean, a lot of these things are going to go into the seam allowance, so I have to be careful, right? Not to just put a 1/2 inch a piece of fabric on there. I just fold this over at some point and then just cut it with the scissors. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now this piece is long, and even though it's skinny, it's a little, oh, it's 3/4 of an inch. So this piece will go into my fabric postcard scraps. That, for those, I am wanting to change a little bit on the fabric postcards and make them a little differently. I think this is darling. So on this side, I kind of want that to go off the top. I do have this large piece that I can just plop over on the side here. So on this side, even though it's polka dot, I can add this piece. Then once I sew a bit down it and the needle holds it, that's when I'll go through and I'll cut this off. Now this does have salvage on it, so I'm going to put that with the fabric postcard because I'll either keep the salvage or trim it because in a fabric postcard it doesn't matter as much. And I am way past the, I don't know, by like a 1/2 inch or so. Where'd my little ruler go? I'm past that line, so it can go over the top. Yeah, I'm past it by a good 1/2 inch. So what were we putting on the bottom on this one? I don't remember. Did we have one for the bottom of this? I am so confused. Oh, the aqua. The aqua goes on the bottom of this. Hi, Lee Allen. Hello, hello. Yeah, the right, Jackie, that tealy colored. I'm like, what did I have? I can't see it because it's behind. I have this sitting on the table and it was behind it. When I'm doing these by myself, I have these bins and fabric everywhere. It's a little bit harder for me to do it with you guys because I have to be prepared and know which fabrics I'm going to use, and I can change a little bit, but for the most part I have them set out. When I'm working on my own, I just kind of like, oh, what would I like next? Oh, let me grab that. Oh, I am out of thread. Imagine that. I knew it would happen. The bobbin, the bobbin, the bobbin. Normally, I pay attention. Well, no, I don't. Normally, I try to pay attention. So I don't like to start stitching again in the middle. A lot of the times, I'll go ahead and take it off. Like remove the stitching and stuff. Just because I don't get it right. I need a seam ripper. I don't get it right, and they don't line up, and it's real obvious if you look at it, and it drives me wonkers. I had a really great conversation recently. I think it was yesterday. I'm not the only person that saves all of my thread bits like this. I was talking with someone else that she was doing a thing where you put it on a piece of fabric or between two pieces of, she put it on like white fabric and put the wash away stabilizer on top and then sewed over it. And she's like, that's as far as I got. What else am I going to do with it? And she was asking if anyone else I'm like, it's nice to know I'm not the only one that saves the thread scraps and then just doesn't do anything with it. I probably have 4 or 5 sandwich baggies of it in various places in my closet or whatever. I have become more willing to use the seam ripper than I used to be. And then just make sure you remove any threads that you need to, right? Because if you're being lazy and you don't want to remove the threads, they always show. All right, bobbin thread to the top. I've been trying to post more on Instagram, but I get so involved in what I'm doing here that I forget. I did post that foundation paper piece thing before I had it finished. I'm like, oh, I don't know how people. Okay, I enjoy doing this. Other people hate it. They enjoy doing the little tiny bits with 12 and a half inch block that has 142 foundation paper pieces in it. Excuse me, and I got the hiccups. I do not like doing that. I despise it. I don't find it relaxing. I think the projects that people make are stunning, and I can do it, but I don't do it well and fast enough because I don't enjoy it. But I do have a few projects on the back burner that I would, that it's foundation paper piecing the only way to make it, and I really want to make it. So, what are you going to do? Now I have this piece. These are Missouri Star scissors. They're pretty sharp. I do like the Kai scissors for most things, but when I'm doing little bits like this, I find that they're nice and sharp. I have a smaller pair. I have a tiny pair, a medium pair, and a small pair, but the medium one isn't long enough and it's like super sharp and I like make mistakes and damage myself with it. So this one is like more handle than blade half the time, but I do enjoy them. Plus the color's nice. But if I was only buying one pair of scissors, I would definitely just buy the Kai. Because, as I was taught, they are the best scissors. Correct, Jody? Make sure I have a little bit of fabric sticking out. Because those of you that weren't here, the whole thing... Oh, hey, S'moresies, you want some food? We got a kitty cat break. S'moresies. S'moresies is wants a little bit of 2 o'clock food, huh? There you go, baby. Whoop. All right, 1 second. I'm going to show you it, but we did a quilt as you go one. I made a few of them, and I think I might have even made it for the live stream once. And the problem is I didn't get a seam underneath the new piece of fabric, and you could see the batting and everything. So to fix it, when I was going through the closet, and I'm trying to just get everything in my closet organized and put into plastic bins, so when it comes time to move, it's good. But I just put a little thing. These are from the Dollar Tree. They're just iron-ons. They iron on really well. So this seam right here, I tried to stitch it by hand and it was ugly. So I just put this on top of it instead of a patch of fabric. I did iron it on and then I did hand stitch it. I moved the lining out of the way and I just made sure I only went through one layer of the pouch. And poof, it's beautiful. I did a beautiful job and now I can put it in the shop. And, hopefully someone will fall in love with it and grab it. The Santa and Elf pouches are in the shop. The new keychains and the angel keychains are in the shop. So if you've seen it, chances are it's in the shop. Just wander around and see what you might fall in love with. What do I have? I have a pair of those fancy scissors, but they're heavy in my hand. You should see me trying to tiptoe around. Are they Ginger? Yeah, I have these Ginger scissors that were given to me when I was doing the trading fabric for knitting, and they have the fun flowers all over it, but they're heavy. and it's just too much for me. It weighs, bothers my wrist, and they're super sharp and they're great. And I think if I was laying fabric down on a table to cut out clothing or something, that they'd be perfect to cut along the table with and stuff. But for quilting, they're just too heavy for what I do. My Kais are my workhorses. I cut zippers with them. I cut thick fabrics, and then I just use these. They had the Santa Claus ones. I sent my pair off to my Advent friend, and I love them. They had the lightweight handles like you buy from Walmart scissors. They're nice and sharp, and they're great utility scissors for just cutting fabric and stuff like that. They're nice. Oh, are they? Oh, they're heavy. The tiny ones are lethal, but they're really great for doing English paper piecing, um, hand applique, cutting out small pieces, even with the heat and bond and stuff. And they work really great for that, the smaller ones. If you're doing like fussy cutting and everything, the only thing that would make the smaller ones better is if they had the like that serrated edge. The It's not the ones that go bumpity, 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 but just, yeah, I think they're still called serrated, like a steak knife and stuff. So it like one of the arms will have it and it holds the fabric while you're cutting it so it doesn't move. I find that better for the smaller ones, the smaller projects. I have a pair. Someone saw me struggling in a video and they sent me a pair from, let me show you. I keep certain scissors in non-use because I save them for certain projects. Kathy Kathy Berkeley, whatever, the Kathy. If you look up Kathy scissors and stuff, so it has the Kai scissors. I know they have one. This right here is a whole bunch of lines like this, like for a butter knife or something. So I saw that the Kai have those. They're just a specialty version of them. But if you were using the small ones, I would suggest to getting, yeah, not the pinking shears, but they just have like when you look at a steak butter knife and it has the serrated lines on it, like that's what it is. If you look up at the K Buckley scissors, it'll say the name. I'm not sure what it is. Let's see if I can. Whoop. K. Come here. K. Buckley scissors. Oh, apparently there's a lawsuit or something. I don't know. They call it K Buckley Perfect Scissors. Um Micro serrated scissors is what hers are called. So it is serrated. I had that part right. I always forget the name pinking shears, so that would be a good guess because that's the one I forget all the time. Had to my little tab up there, post-it note. We had to have the guy come out and look at our sprinklers because only at 3 o'clock in the afternoon the sprinkler would run nonstop, but none of the other days. So we were like flooding the neighborhood, down the road, around the corner. I'm like, that's crazy. Only happened twice, and that was enough. I'm like, okay, sprinklers are turned off. Let's hope the grass doesn't die. So we can't afford to have that problem. Oh, they sorted you by color, Jackie, which is great, but not if, you don't sort by color. Yeah, it's great for slippery things and stuff. I used to just be, hey, give me them 99-cent scissors from Walmart and I'll just deal with it. But then the more I got into things is like I made my first 5 quilts by taking a CD case and tracing around it with a pen and cutting it out with a pair of scissors. And that's before, to be honest with you, I never realized that a CD case, I never paid attention enough to know that it's not square. So I made patchwork quilts out of old clothes and hospital scrubs and baby stuff and everything like that. And those quilts lasted years. But then I realized, oh, you can get a rotary cutter. And then I just had this one kit that came with like a plastic ruler with a metal side to it for a rotary cutter. And then I started working my way up, and I'm like, wow, the more you know, the more you do things, you really kind of want the good tools. You can make an entire quilt with scissors and by hand, but if you want to make 12 quilts, it's much nicer to use a sewing machine and a rotary cutter, right? That's why I was saying many times that if you want to try something new, it's a good idea to grab a kit because it usually has almost everything you need, and you won't have to buy like 5 yards of this or a yard of that or a big spool of something. It usually comes with enough to finish. Like you don't have to have all the colors of embroidery floss to do a little ornament. You just need what you need. I just realized I didn't pull out any thread to do the teal bottom. It's okay. Now, there's not going to be much fabric across the top of this for the zipper, but it'll be all right. I'll have to do a video on how to add fabric like binding to a zipper so you can get that good pop on it. That's a really fun technique. I could also just cut across the top of this and say that's it. Now this does take longer, right, than to just do anything else, to put one piece of fabric on or whatever. I don't know. I kind of like having something special. I don't think I'm going to quilt anymore. Like you see these people, they go to the craft shows, right? And people, have their Etsy shops or they have their own Shopify online shop or something. And I've talked about this many times because it drives me crazy sometimes that everyone has this fabric, right? Everyone has the same fabric. We have the same options to go to Joann's or Hobby Lobby or now Michael's and stuff to get this fabric. But what are you doing with it? If everyone's making a plain tote bag or a zipper pouch with just one fabric, how are you being unique? You're just making the same thing everyone else does. And some people are charging an arm and a leg. But if you take those same fabrics everyone has access to and you mix them together and create something unique, now you've had something fun, right? And you've made something different than everyone else. And I think that's just really, I think it's just really fun. I enjoy that. I'm going to put this one on top, and to make sure, I think I'm just going to go down a little bit and give a little bit more space for to be at the top. So while I have the same fabrics you guys do, right? I have the same, we'll just, I don't want to use the word cheap Joann fabrics, but compared to a quilt shop, they were less expensive. And to get things online from the same places, we all have the same fabrics basically. But it's what we do with it to try to come up with something that's a little unique. And I want to be known for having the fabric scraps and having all the different colors and putting them together in a way that I hope is kind of pleasing. And I really like this technique of quilting all the fabric down. If you look at, like when you're working on a project, if you're just new to quilting, I'm not sure this is something I would have noticed, but when you first start doing things, and it's like when you make a string block and it's kind of ugly looking and then you trim around the block and you're like, oh, that looks good. I find that when I sew a bunch of these fabrics together, it kind of looks okay, right? But then once I put the quilting on it, any kind of quilting, it kind of gives the fabric more character. It kind of flattens it out a little bit, and it takes it from in your face to kind of more subtle. So even some of my crazier ideas with fabric, it settles down and it calms everything down a little bit when I add quilting to it. So you guys don't always see it before I quilt it. I'm going to leave, again, the top a little unquilted because I will need to be sewing across it for the zipper. And I don't want to put a line of stitching on top of a line of stitching, even though I might have to. I'm going to at least attempt to pretend like I can do it. So yeah, I like having that little bit different. I do use bright colors and I guess maybe saturated colors. I don't know all of those words, tones and hues and all of that stuff, but I like to use colors that are colorful. Even I've learned that, I say I don't sew much with brown, right? But when I sew with brown, there's so many different shades and combinations that the brown even kind of pops a little. I'm going to save this too to put with my fabric postcard scrap. Okay, so there's that. We're going to go ahead and quilt the bottom, and then we'll go ahead and say goodbye for today because it's after 3 o'clock. We'll chat a little first because I never just say goodbye. It's just kind of fun to just take different things together. And everyone, I get the comments a lot like, gee, Robin, you're so great at putting fabrics together and colors together. But you know what I think it is when I look at other people's quilts and I'm like, whoa, they can put colors together. They know color theory and the rainbow, and not the rainbow, the color wheel and all that. And they do amazing things. But when someone does something different, not necessarily better, just different than you, it's like, wow, that looks really great. I wish I could do that. But I can't put colors together, to be honest with you. It's taken me years to figure this out. And I lost my threads. Oh, it's sitting right next to me. What I've learned is just Google it, right? If you Google what colors, I want to use pink and aqua together, what color goes with pink and aqua, right? And then I Google it, and all of these professional people, there's paint stripes, there's computer stuff, there's people that have decorated a house in those colors, and they tell me what to put together. So I didn't have to do much. Over time, I've learned I love aqua and red together. So I know that those go well together, and I love purple and pink and whites and reds together. So I know that's good. So I didn't really need to know color theory or anything like that. Someone else will do it for me. Happy 4th, Yvette. Now, here is this. I don't know. Before I put it on, what do you guys think? Should I? I'm going to look in the camera. Should I? Or should I just get something else to put on there? Like a darker pink or even maybe a purple? I don't know now because it does have a little bit in the wings, but I'm not sure. I think I want to change what goes on the bottom. Now remember, it's only going to be about this much though. So what do y'all think? That's the thing when you have a wide bottom like that, a deep bottom, it's going to go underneath when you box the corners. I think so too, right, Audrey? I think the idea, because they go well together, but once that pouch is like that, I don't think I want it. I think I want to change that up. Let me find my pink bin. I thought purple too, but there's no purple in it. You think we're okay with purple? Let me grab some purple. Maybe a lighter purple because it's not a tote bag, right? So it doesn't have to be dark on the bottom to keep things from getting dirty. Sometimes I just have to accept that the bottom of a tote bag is going to get dirty. This might be the perfect purple. I think some of these pinks might be in that purple. Oh, I kind of like that. What do you guys think on that one? You guys like it? I like it too. And see how having the rainbow wall behind me and anything that's like left over from not charm pack, fat quarter, anything that's like 5 inches and narrower and stuff. I just put it in there. You see how quick it was to be able to just pull out a purple fabric? So for me, having things sorted by color like that works great. Now, my yardage, I do sort my yardage by color. Actually, I sort all of my semi-solids in one section. They start out by color once or twice a year, and then as I use them, they get all mixed up, but it's only a shelf or two, like a section of them, so. Everything else is sorted by holiday, and then I have novelty. All right, so there's that. Yeah, see that purple's not, that's not even my purple. Someone sent me that. I think it's the edge of a quilt, and some of it was quite jagged and funky and stuff, but I just trimmed off. Oh, I hit it again. Some of it I just trimmed off so that it would work. Now I need to get a thread. Where's my threads? Ooh, I think I see the purple. I even organized all of my thread by color once, and now we have this. It just never stays that way, but this is a perfect purple. Oh, we even have a good bobbin. Yeah, I definitely need to order bobbins. I think I have 4 left. So I need to order another couple hundred bobbins. I'll probably be doing that. I probably will wait till Monday because I try not to order things on Amazon like during holidays and stuff because it just takes, if it says it'll be delivered tomorrow, maybe, but things just take longer on a holiday, so there's just no point. Yeah, pre-cuts and kits. I have a lot of layer cakes and I keep the charm packs and stuff. So I guess, yeah, I don't have too many kits. I used to grab kits if I like the fabric, especially if they're like, here's a kit that doesn't have a pattern or it's missing fabric, or I'd buy it in a miscellaneous. I used to buy a lot of things off of eBay or this quilting group, an online quilting group I was in. They would just have a yard sale section and people would just sell stuff and everything. So that's how I built up a lot of things. I'm going to slide it over because there'll be just enough on the edge to put into my fabric postcards. And let me make sure. There we go. And this edge isn't even perfectly straight. It looks pretty good, but it's not. When it's in my scraps, I kind of like it to be straight-ish. Like I always say to you guys, know how you create, right? Know what you use. If you never use 2.5-inch squares, don't cut your scraps into 2.5-inch squares, right? If you only use squares, don't cut anything into triangles or weird rectangles or something. Because if you don't use it, don't waste your time prepping things like that. I do have more of this to put on the back. I just realized, because I know there's more you guys didn't know, so I can have a matching piece on the back. And I have the dragonfly. It's a white background with light dragonflies with aqua wings. That's going to go on the back. I might change that up because now that we've pulled the aqua teal off, I might find something else. I have butterfly fabric, so if I find something with the pinks and yellows on it, I'll put it on the back. But that's not going to be anything you guys are going to have to worry about because that's going to be a me problem later. And this is definitely too long. It's about 2 inches too long. You guys know that they say it's for everyone from the first knuckle to the tip of your finger is 1 inch. Now mine it's pretty close. I have to, if I put my finger down this way, I can see that it is. If I go sideways, it's not exactly because it's hard to see where the tip is, but when you put it down like this, so I just kind of like guesstimate because I'm not fully measuring. But if I know I need something to be 2 inches and going like this is enough, then that usually works. There's also different things that like woodworkers, construction and stuff, they know like your foot goes from your elbow to your wrist and stuff like that. And they'll know like if you know you're 6 feet from fingertip to fingertip when you spread your arms out, it's supposed to be 6 feet for your height. I wonder how that works now that I've shrunk. Huh. I'll have to check my wingspan and see what that is compared to my height now. Because with knitters and stuff, we know that so that when we knit a scarf, we know we want it to be, our wingspan. I know I work a lot with color, so that's why I sort by color. I think, when you're watching videos and stuff on Instagram and TikTok or whatever, it is really fun when you see everyone's fabric in the background and it's all sorted by color. That was one of the ways. Oh, hi, Mocha. Mocha just fell off. She jumped down, but she's half asleep, so she basically fell off of Grandpa's hope chest down onto the floor. And my girls, as they get older and their teeth need a little bit of work, when they chew their crunchy food, little crumbs fall out. And sometimes I pick them up and toss them in here. So when Mocha jumped down, the first thing she did was put her face in here because she could smell her dry food in there. It's usually, I keep it up on the table so they don't have access to it. Well, yeah, it's one of those things when you've been crafting for a bit, you'll try a few different things in the beginning, like, oh, Bonnie Hunter said to do this, and Bonnie Hunter is an amazing quilter, so she's been doing it like all her life. She knows she's under control and organized. So let me do her system. And then I found that I don't use her system. It doesn't work for me to have fabric pre-cut because on this, like, I didn't know I was going to use that long piece. I hadn't planned for it, right? I hadn't planned to put the two stripes there and to do these different things. So having things pre-cut wouldn't work for me. I like to leave everything in chunks. And then I know, like when I do the Halloween, I couldn't see the purple thread. I thought it came unthreaded. When I do like Halloween and Christmas patchwork stuff, I can go and just cut a 2.5-inch square out of any of my scraps and I'll be good. Mary, I think talking to different people and hearing how they do things is really interesting. My kids are like, Mom, why are you watching these TV shows like 19 Kids and Counting when it first came out and we didn't know how horrible they were? I'm like, if someone has 19 kids or 10 kids or 9 kids, chances are they have their house organized. I have 2 or 3 kids, depending on when it was in my life. I said, maybe I can get organized with our family of 5. If they can do it with 22 people, why can't I do it with 5, right? So I try to go to the so-called specialist and figure things out. Like you guys can watch what I do and say, I am never doing what that crazy woman's doing. But in a way, that's beneficial because now you know what not to do and you won't try it. I think it helps. All right, crazy cat, did you fall down? I think switching the purple was a brilliant idea. Like I said, the only reason I pulled the other color out was because there's a light aqua of embroidery thread on here because it's all machine embroidered. And that's enough. So it's just really, I thought it would work, but I do love this purple. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, there's different ways because even though I try to keep one of those retractable tape measures in my purse, bag, tote, whatever, I don't always take it with me, right? Sometimes I just measure, like I go and I'm like, I need it to be from my middle finger to my elbow. So let me go up and find something at the store that fits there. if it doesn't have to be exactly precise, you just kind of want something to guesstimate. Now that's definitely wide enough. That measures 1 3/4 inches. I almost said 3/4 inches. So that will go back into the scrappy strips and it'll be there the next time I need it. And there we go. So there is this lady and our ladybug and our dragonfly girl. And then the only thing left is the bee. And I'm going to do that without you guys. It's going to involve a lot of cutting too. So then I have the bee. And that's going to be all flowers because bees love flowers, right? So if you find things like this at the store and they're patches and they're meant to like go on kids' clothes or whatever, you don't know what to do with them, this is one of the options that you can do. That's smart, Jackie. Yeah. Thanks, Audrey. I really appreciate it. So this is what you can do when you find something like that. And if you're worried about it staying stitched, I didn't want to even attempt to sew around it with my sewing machine, but it may have taken me 5 or 10 minutes to just put 20 hand stitches around there. I matched the white because there's a white border around all of them. So I matched the white border and I just went with that. And at the time, it was probably $1 or $1.25. Now they have a lot of iron-on patches, and then like the flat ones that aren't embroidered, they're just like printed on like vinyl or something. So if you can do this with your own embroidery machine or you come across them somewhere, even if the iron-on doesn't iron on anymore because you found it at a garage sale, as long as they look clean, you can sew them on. And I think it's just a great way to use them. So I hope everyone has an amazing 4th of July. If you want to claim any one of these, just go ahead and send me an email. Otherwise, they'll be in the shop later this week. I'll probably show them off in a weekly blog, but just to give you guys an idea, I mentioned to you guys I've been doing these ahead of time with the vlogs to make sure I have enough time to do what I need to and stuff like that. I have some on my phone that I haven't posted yet, but I'm all the way to the 3rd week in July right now. So I'm not really that far ahead because I took 2 weeks off to make the Santa pouches. So I know I have vlog 8 in my phone, and I think I have 9 and 10. So I should be into August. I just need to edit those on Monday. So these will show up, but they won't show up until later. If you want to know what goes into the shop, keep an eye on the posts in the community section here on YouTube. Check out my Instagram if you're on there. Otherwise, just follow my Etsy shop, and Etsy will let you know every time I put something new in. So I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their weekend. You guys have a safe 4th of July. It's only 3:10 for us over here on the West Coast, so I have plenty of time to work on the pouch and possibly even finish them up. I'll finish them up this weekend. So keep an eye out on the shop on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to see when they pop in. I hope everyone has fun. I'm just going to watch the fireworks outside and eat nachos. So don't drink and drive. Don't hold the fireworks in your hand. Be really, really safe. It's safest to watch them. The fireworks have gotten much stronger, and even though there's safety now, they are still very dangerous. So everyone, come back and let me know on Monday if you all still have your fingers attached, okay? Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys later. Bye.